everyone has landed and has joined our webinar today. You can see that it's Christmas in August, late August, 30th, but I'm wearing my Christmas hat. My daughter, I told her this morning I'm hosting a Christmas webinar. She was saying, but Daddy, it's like it's 4 months until Christmas. Well, we're talking about Christmas. Let's wear a Christmas hat. So today's webinar is going to be focused on how to unlock an 80% conversion rate on your Christmas campaigns. And for a lot of companies focusing on Christmas campaigns, talking about this in August is potentially already too late, because campaigns usually have a quite long planning process. We have budgeting, we have plans, and there's creative stuff. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. Nevertheless, it was now or later, because earlier this month, people are just coming back from holidays. We're going to record this. So if you have any questions after it, you can rewatch it, but you're also very welcome to get in touch with us. We, of course, will show and talk a little bit about how we can get the best conversion rate. What is the conversion rate in our webinar and speech? Short introduction of myself. I'm Nikolaj. I'm the CCO here at Skarbye. So I've been hosting a lot of webinars the last 2 years for us, and today we're covering the challenges in the market and around Christmas and seasonal holidays. We're talking very little about gamification marketing. In my other webinars and content, I've been covering that a lot. So if you want to head over and watch more, you can go to skarbye.io and go to the section called Learn. We have our old webinars and podcast where we can speak a little bit more about the technicalities of gamification marketing. You're, of course, also very welcome to reach out to me or one of my colleagues if you want to have a personal introduction to what gamification marketing is and if there's a good match with you. But yeah, we have 3 cases brought to you today. It's all in the e-commerce retail industry. It's Power, it's Toyota, and it's Just Eat. And we're going to look at those cases, look at the results from those cases, and I'm going to give you the takeaways and the best practices that you can apply to your, hopefully your own business, and try to increase your conversion rate, lead gen, sales, and hopefully lower the cost for lead acquisition and customer acquisitions. So if you have any questions, we have the chat. You also have the option to post an anonymous question. So if you are afraid of asking about something that could be perceived as a stupid question, you can always write an anonymous question as well. Free to ask questions during the presentation. I will be looking over here to the right and seeing if there's any questions coming up. There should be a nice chat here. And as I mentioned, if you have questions, we can also jump in that later. Cool. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So just to briefly take a look at the situation and impact and say, okay, so why could there be a need to do something? And why is it that there is always a lot of focus surrounding Christmas for marketers? Of course, you already know that out there. But in general, you could say that the last many years, brands have been relying heavily on third-party data to reach the audience, meaning Meta or Google or whatever. And all of these opportunities to do personalized marketing toward them has sort of diminished over time. The quality has been worse. And of course, the risk of paying for the same visitor multiple times. I've seen that so many times with cases for e-commerce, clothing brands, and so on, where the margins get so small and you don't know if you already paid to sort of get the visitor or get the attention. So if you miss out on converting the interest and the visitors to engage them and either capture some, I'll come to that. I'm jumping ahead of myself. But basically, those are the challenges, right? And it gets even worse during Q3, Q4 because of the audience is the same. But the brands that is starting to come in, and a lot of brands are dedicating like 40 or 50% of the annual budget for this Q4 period. There's Black Month, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Halloween, Thanksgiving. We have, of course, Christmas, Advents in the Nordics especially, and so on. So there's going to be a squeeze, and there's a squeeze every year. We can just see the CPM prices on Meta increase, the cost on ads usually increase, Google ads and SEM and so on. So it's like, okay, how can we do what we need to do with the same budget, but try to be more effective? And this is what we are sharing today. The approach that we've seen work, there's of course many good solutions and ideas out there. The approach that we use here at Skarbye, which is our software and gamification software, it is that we recommend that you create and implement a framework where you can optimize the likelihood that, first of all, your visitors that you paid for, that are visiting your space, they will accept cookies, and you can plant pixels with them that they accept it. So how do you do that? For instance, if you have a game that they can win a prize, they can play, they can engage in, they can only engage with that game if they accept your marketing cookies. You don't need to have an email permission, but you can actually make a setting so they can only engage in your marketing content if they accept the marketing cookie. Very similar to what media houses does, that you have to accept these in order to view the advanced settings on their web pages. This will increase your cookies and pixels tenfold on your web page and start to populate your data sets much better. That should be helping at least with retargeting. Second part, you need to capture the email permissions. It could be that it's a recurring person, but at least you can then say, okay, I'm recapturing this interest from that person, but also to build up a base, especially during the Black Month where everything is so cheap and margins on the retail goods is diminishing. Make sure to get some value out of it if you're not making a lot of money from it. Make sure to get the permissions so you can use that for future marketing like Christmas, but also after New Year's and in Q1 and so on. First party data, of course, collect that in terms of demographic information, first name, zip codes, etc. If that's important for your business, you can have demographic information that's really, really good. And of course, shoot that in and integrate it with your different systems so you can get the most of it. And the last part, which is a bit more advanced, and I would recommend most companies to focus on step 1, 2, and 3. But if you have CDPs or have advanced automations or advanced profiling on your audience in terms of making personalization outreach or other personalization tools, making gamified content actually enables you through quizzes or personality tests to get information from that individual who is making choices and sharing their preferences with you during a game-like setting. That means they can tell and share a lot of information about them that will help your profiling, your CDP, or your data sets to determine what segment should that be in. It could be what kind of clothes would I wear when I go party. It could be a clothing test. It could be what is my favorite food style. Is it sushi? Is it whatever? And then, of course, you can make segments and individual ads that will talk more to them. I'm sure that most of you have seen, unless if you haven't seen, then just reach out and we can find some stats about personalized information and that it attracts the attention much higher, they engage more, and they open and buy from you a lot more in this funnel. So basically, you can have a game for each stage of your marketing funnel, or you can just have one game that can do most of it. And this is basically what we'll show you, that one game that these 3 companies have created, 3 individual cases with 3 different settings. We have one company who wants to collect permissions and sell a lot of their product. We have one who wants to maintain loyalty and retention and interest over time. And the third company we have want to make sure that their audience shops with them during this time of Christmas and make a lot of transaction in their business. Now, of course, I have a little bit of a pop-up that is annoying. Don't forget, you can ask any questions you want. You can see a little bit of more people joining in here. So for those of you who is unsure when I say gamification or marketing, what is that? We are a serious brand. We don't work with so much with gamification. It sounds like you have to play games and all. Well, gamification marketing is a strategy or tactic that uses interactive game-like elements in a marketing campaigns with the aim of improving brand engagement and driving users to take specific actions. Those specific actions is determined on your call to action, CTAs, which could be pixels, first-party data, email permissions, more segmentational data like profiling information, or it can be such as click on this, buy, purchase, drive. It can be user journeys. So it all depends on the funnel I showed you before. What is it you want to achieve? And then you can use gamification marketing to help the conversion rate increase over here. Some of the very traditional products that is being used when we are talking seasonal highlights, we can call it a Christmas calendar, but I've seen customers use it in July. In Danish, we have a wordplay saying jul in juli, which is the month of July and Christmas. So it sounds like you're having Christmas in July. It's a nice wordplay, and they actually made this. You can also tap into this if there's a big events like Tour de France or other. You can have countdowns, and for every day there's an activity going on. It can be a store opening, so there is X amount of days until our store opens. Make the countdown, celebrate with us. Or it can, of course, also be product launches, etc. Basically, it is just a format that makes the visitors highly engaged, and they make to come back and recur and give you more insights and data every day. We also have a format called the Advent Calendar, where instead of focusing on a daily activity, it's a weekly activity. So in this case, it would be every Sunday for Christmas, and every Sunday there is a little bit of a game or an activation that you can sign up for. If you don't want to do the traditional 24 gates or 4 gates, you also have the single games, where you take these interactive content pieces. It can be a mystery box, it can be a scratch card, it could be a Christmas quiz, or a dice game. These are just examples of game templates found in our platform Scratcher. And you can make sure that you can play these games daily, weekly, once, or until you have won a prize. So there's a lot of custom settings you can do on these, but these are just examples of Christmas games that you can use for this season. So without further ado, I'm going to jump to the cases. Most people are probably here for the cases. So here you go. Let's start off with Power. So Power is a huge retailer that has stores, and they deal with electronics and electronic industry. Last year, during Christmas, they made their Christmas campaign where 72,696 doors were opened, and means that there was a lot of engagement over the course of that Christmas month. If we dive a little bit more into the data, we can see that 52,896 is individual and new emails that was clicked up. So for this format, we can see they were pushing this and say, okay, here's a chance. We want to collect a lot of new permissions, but we also want to present offers where you can actually buy. Maybe you can win a discount code, and then you can buy something afterwards. So 73% of the people who actually saw an ad for this, visited the page and saw a pop-up, got a newsletter with it and opened and clicked on it. There's actually 73% of the people who saw this and said, hey, I'm actually willing to give away some of my personal info, be that pixels, cookies, emails, insights, first-party data, or so on, in order to participate in the competition. And here's the quote from Thijs, who was the CM manager and is the CM manager, who is highly recommended. And he says that they created a quiz-based Christmas calendar to match the season and their brand, which are 2 really important points. Attractive prices, 3rd important point, especially in e-commerce retail industry. And the format ensured high recurring visitor rate, 80% plus, and extraordinary conversion rate. So overall, Power has been using our product for 4 years, and they keep doing this every year because they can see some amazing results. So what they did was they created the great Power Christmas calendar, where you have the opportunity every day throughout Christmas to open a new door. And this is how they chose to sleeve it. That's their own branding, their own design, fully customizable in their format. So for this one, for instance, you enter it and you click on the gate that you want to enter, the daily challenge, and every day there's a new gate that opens. So you land on this page where it says, okay, this is 2nd December. Here's a question for you. check out the prices and participate in the daily question. You can get some more information about the prices, and here's some of the prices that they have, and you can fill out. This is just the form in order to make sure what data you want to capture from the audience. For Power, they wanted to map on the phone number, and if you have a match and they have the phone number in the database, it won't ask you for more. It just means that you're recurring. But if they don't have the phone number, they will then ask you to fill out your name and email address in order to populate the CRM system. So it's a very nice and clever integration they made to make the workflow as smooth as possible for the participants. So they don't every day has to fill it out. They just have to test, okay, do I have a user or don't I have a user with this game? So here's the example from them. It's who was behind the popular Christmas calendar on the news channel TV2. The Christmas calendar, they embedded a small video so you can actually recall. It's quite funny, the julekalender, the Christmas calendar, and you can actually answer that. I think that 9 out of 10 Danish people, they would know this answer. So it's very like, okay, here's basically a giveaway, but let's make some fun and interactive stuff with it. I answered correctly, but there was no gift behind today's gate. Oh, that's a shame, but they have some cool consolation prizes. So they have some My Power offers that we can see below. So even though I won the draw or I didn't win the draw, I actually get the opportunity to redeem and see some consolation prizes. So overall, Power knows that they sell more to customers who is also part of the loyalty program. So they of course have new visitors, but they're also considering that most people know about Power, but they want to push them into the loyalty program. And Skarbye was an important part of that. Christmas calendar is a steady part of all the yearly gamification campaigns they run. And during the year, they use various games to drive signups. And then when they have the database, they push out these seasonal activities to members and so on. Here's an example that I just took yesterday. Is if you go to power.dk or .no or .sc or wherever the Power is, you can actually participate in these birthday competitions. So they make sure that there's always something going up, where there's something interactive, where you can either know my customer database is still engaged, they're still active, they are still interested in what's going on. Cool. Any questions for the Power case? Yes, very good question that came up here. It really depends on results, and it really depends on your business. So of course, if you're looking at the 3 brands I brought in today, Power, Just Eat, and Toyota, those are huge brands, and we must assume they have a lot of budget. But that doesn't mean that smaller brands also can't make this work. It's just a matter of scale. See, we have a different company on a case, and I think we possibly published it yesterday, maybe it's coming live today, where an EV charging company, they only used 500 euro for 2-month promotion of getting people to participate and answer a quiz or a user journey flow about what EV chargers we should use. And they actually managed to collect 834 leads. And it's like, is 834 leads, is that a lot? For 500 euro, it seems okay. It's about, 0.80 cents per lead. But the cool fact is that after taking the quiz and the guide on what EV charger would fit that customer the most, 10% of those 834 people, they actually bought. So we actually have a case where with a 2-month spend of 500 euro, we have 83 new customers with an average value of 800 euro. So you can do the math yourself and say that, is that a good case or a bad case? I think that's a pretty good case, but it shows that you can get pretty far with limited budget. You just have to be mindful and strategic about what you do when you do it. I'd be happy to take a talk about that if you need some input for it. Thanks. I hope that was a good question. Toyota. Let's talk about Toyota car company. Everyone should know about Toyota. So Toyota is not really a fast-moving consumer good, right? So buying a car is a process. It takes some time. And Toyota, of course, knows this. However, Toyota is giving away cars in prizes. They have yearly competitions where you can win cars. Would Toyota give away cars just out of charity, or is it because there is good business in it? They have done this since 2020 with us, I think. So for the Christmas calendar and case with Toyota, they had 450,000 interactions with the Christmas calendar. And in this case, because it was not focused on high conversion, it was not focused on you need to buy after you engage in the quiz, but it was more about education and creating engagement, brand awareness, loyalty, stickiness, and all of the things that's important for a longer purchase journey. These 450,000 interactions were made by 25,241 unique people. And these 25,000, they opened and reopened on average 18 of the 24 days. It means that during Christmas, they interacted with the brand of Toyota a minimum of 18 times out of 24 days. That is pretty good stickiness. And from the people landing on the page to actually engaging, it was 97%. So it was the drop off from having to sign up or deliver your email was very, very, very low. And this again just shows that if you have the right audience, if you have the right engaging content, and you have a good price, you shouldn't be so afraid of asking about data, permissions, and so on. Alex, who is the digital marketing manager at Toyota and responsible for this campaign, he said to this that they saw high opening and click rates on gamified content in newsletters and personalized product emails. The campaign went above their expectation, and it was also cost effective on leads generated. And when it's usually our customers, they say cost effective is compared to what they usually do. And this is what we've seen with other cases as well, that when you add a gamified layer on top of your normal marketing activities, you end up getting the same or more leads, but for a cheaper price. It means the CAC or the CPL prices usually drops. The way that they activated the Christmas calendar was that they had a pop-up on the web page, and then they drove promotion around it. So when people were entering toyota.dk for one reason or another, whether it was a promo, whether it was from social or newsletters, they actually had to enter the pop-up, and they had to register on what's called a double opt-in. It means that they have to register on the pop-up itself, and then they had to confirm the email address again. And a lot of people would, of course, say, well, don't you lose a lot of people? Yes, but for Toyota, it was very important that the quality of the leads were as high as possible. So meaning that the 25,000 people with the emails, they were both highly engaged, highly relevant leads, where the emails were verified emails. It's not just some spam emails. And here you can see an example of how it could look on your phone, because of course all the Scratch games is completely viewable on phones as well. I think 80% of everyone who participates in games that we can see today, they are coming from a mobile device, as it's called. So here's an example from 1st December. So you entered the gate, you could win today's prize. So they had daily prizes, and then they had the draw at the end. So by participating more days, you get more draws. And this, of course, also increases the reactivation and the loyalty of the people joining. Yeah, so basically with a Christmas calendar, you have 24 opportunities to get to know the lead and their preferences. You can see here, I'm not sure if it's too small, but it asks, for instance, which old Toyota celebrity returned to the Danish market in 2019? And they had 24 different profiling questions where they're educating the audience about information about Toyota, safety, car brands, knowledge, prices, all of the standard communication that the brand managers and marketeers are creating in big campaigns. You're basically also giving the opportunity to share that in a high engaging environment with 25,000 people here. Yeah, so as I mentioned, Toyota gives cars away for prizes for holiday competition because they know the investment is coming back. It's not charity, as I mentioned earlier. They also know that for a longer buying journey, it's really important to know and nurture the leads with the right content on the right channels at the right time. So for the collaboration with Scratcher, it's about, of course, creating something that's highly engaging for the audience that they want to engage in, but also being able to create it fast, easy in their own environment or design, and then make sure that the data is integrated with their platforms, whether it's email systems or CM systems, and so on. Yeah, asking rhetorical questions here. So where do you think the insights in order to nurture the leads in the future are coming from? Any questions for the Toyota campaign? There's a question here. Let me just read it. Okay. Yeah, so there's another question about whether getting a campaign off the ground with Scratcher is a challenge. And in terms of a timeline, how long time would it say? Again, it highly depends on your company and your organization, how much control you have over that. But if you, let's say that you were to get an introduction with Scratcher, that will take 1.5 hours. If you're used to working with MailChimp, drag and drop system, the PowerPoint, then you are able to build a game and a content like a Christmas calendar probably will take you a full days of work around that. If you are unable to deliver the graphics yourself and you need one of your colleagues to deliver, you have to take that into consideration. But I would say from the decision has been made and you have the creative stuff and the back and forth, you should be able to launch it in a week's time. It's fairly easy to do, and our customers think that we have the most user-friendly gamification platforms on the market. So yeah, if you go to scratcher.io, you can sign up for a free trial right corner. You can try it out yourself. No strings attached. Maybe you will get a call from me. But you can also just write when you sign up, hey, I saw the webinar, I'm just curious. Nikolaj, don't call me. So you're very welcome just to try it out. We're also one of the only gamification platforms that allows you to just test and try our tool, because we know that our tool and the user experience is worth it. Cool. But let's jump to Just Eat, one of my favorite brands, and that's because I like fast food and I like to order out. Who doesn't like a good sushi delivery? But let's look at this case. It's a bit of an older case, but I think it is still a really, really good case. So basically, Just Eat for this Christmas campaign, they had 125,000 participants, visitors who came to the page, and 93% of those who landed on the landing page, they chose to give away the information and sign up. And out of those 115,000, we had 48,000 people who were unique leads participants with unique individual emails. So it means that around per person participated 2.5 times. I tried to look a bit more into the data, and I could see that there is a few hundred who participated all 24 days. And what's really cool about this, when I look back into this case, is that everybody actually, even though you lose, you win a discount code. So there's a very, very low drop-off from interested visitor to active participant. And let's see how they leverage that. So this was the Christmas Eve landing page. You had the opportunity to win a gift card of 500 crowns. That's sort of the daily price for this. And you can get the delicious takeaway, right? So you open this, you can click on these boxes here, and it will show you whether you won or not. When you click, you will be prompted to fill out a name and email. And as I mentioned, we had 93% who actually filled it out, and several hundreds who did this daily. Yeah, I didn't win the main prize when I took this test, but you can see, oh, I got a 15% discount code. And let's look a little bit into the numbers of how many actually redeems these kind of discount codes. I wanted to just screenshot this from behind, because when I look back into this case, one we had in the archives, I wanted to verify that it actually had this crazy performance, because having such a low bounce rate, that sounds a little bit good to be true. So just, took a sample from our backend and looked into the data. Here's 4th December, 8th December, 23rd December. and you can see the numbers here in terms of unique participants and unique visitors. It is what it is. It is really good numbers. So if we look at, okay, so what's the value of this? Well, let's put it like this: 115,000 people, they received a 15% discount voucher. This detracting the 24 people who won, right? And the average purchase order of Just Eat in 2020, they're a public company, you can look this up, is 23 euro. I was thinking that sounds really low. It's an average of Nordic countries. My personal order is a bit higher, but let's just go with 23 euro for this case example. On average, the redemption of coupons is 3%. It's like an industry average. I don't know the redemption average from Just Eat. I know if my wife receives a 15% discount code, we have Just Eat tonight. So it depends on people, of course, and there's also some who just ignores it, right? But 3%, it doesn't sound too optimistic, I would say. I think it sounds pretty pessimistic, but leave it as it is. So with a low purchase order of 23 euro, 3% redemption, it gives us 3,450 redemption with an average value of 23 euro. So if we try to make a case for this, we can actually see that that is 80,000 euro worth of transactions. And that is just the monetary value. Of course, it's not Just Eat who receives 80,000. That is more in terms of the transactional value and how Just Eat makes money from that. I don't have that information. But besides the 80,000 in transactional value, they also had a lot of new leads that they can reactivate and engage with. And what is the value of engaging these 3,450 people from buying with Just Eat instead of buying with a competitor like Volt? Andreas, you are asking a question about the percentage of used vouchers. So that is the 3% redemption rate I am referring to. Is it something else that you are thinking about? Let me know, and I'll be happy to try to explain that. Again, it's in terms of coupons and redemption rates, it's also very individual from a company to company. Whether you just, if you do daily promos everywhere, you usually have a lower redemption rate. Whereas if it's a really high percentage discount code for something really attractive, you have a higher redemption rate. So it really depends on what you're doing. I would advise, for instance, when you look into Black Week, Black Monday, Black Friday, that instead of doing side-wide discount, you make a win up to, say, 50% or 70% discount, whatever crazy discount you want to do, but that you can win the discount. And then you let everyone win the discount. Because the hype going on with that, and everybody wins a super high discount, that will trigger a need and incentive to buy. Whereas if everyone can just buy, it's going to be like, okay, let me shop a bit around. There's no urgency to that because, it's Black Month, Black Friday. Everybody has this. But if you won the discount, you can be sure that they will, there's a higher likelihood that they will redeem. Just waiting here if Andreas elaborates on his. Let me just get a small sip here. Okay. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, you're all also very welcome just to reach out to me on LinkedIn with more specific questions. If you want a one-on-one, let's say 15 minutes, 20 minutes to bounce ideas of Christmas campaigns or setups, I'd be more than happy to do it as well. You see, I'm in the Christmas mood, so maybe I have a good offer as well. Let's see about that, but reach out. So here's some of the best practices I can give you. It's sort of like a checklist of things that if you want to maximize the sort of potential and the return and the value that your company gain from this, you would these are the things that you need to do. I was just reading the question at the same time. Yes, Andreas, the average from industry benchmarks on coupons globally is 3%. So I completely agree. 3% seems super low, but I don't want to sugarcoat any cases and make it artificially high. 3% is the industry. I have it from an industry report on coupons from a big company who made these kind of statistics and so on. But yeah, I agree. 3% seems super low. Again, don't want to sugarcoat. Let's just take the example I said, it's 10%. Well, the case is just 3 times better. Transactional value is about 250,000 euro for a campaign that cost maybe 4,000, 3,000 euro to create. Okay, cool. Let's look at best practices. So what do I mean? First of all, you need to make sure you iframe and embed the game to your own web page. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific page on your web page. It doesn't have to be the front page. It doesn't have to be a specific category page. You just need to make sure that there's traffic on that page, and that when it's embedded, that you have the cookie and the marketing settings up to date and up to speed, so that you can start to get these pixels. If you are let's say a local franchise, or if you're a local retailer and you don't have any power on your website, you can either use a Scratcher domain, or you can use your own custom subdomain, and you can embed it on that page as well. And again, make custom tracking pixels and cookies and so on, and capture that. Definitely best practice to make sure to iframe it onto your web page. Pretty simple, copy paste the code and you're good to go. No need for IT or anyone. Marketing can do that by themselves. You want to make sure that the branding is consistent and aligned with your brand, meaning that if you are often, maybe you've seen spinning wheels or all of these things, but if you start to market some stuff that is not on point or on brand in today's digital era, people can be a bit suspicious, especially that the conversion rate will start to drop because they don't feel that this is safe to deliver their personal information in. So the better your branding and the more higher the consistency of the alignment and being placed on your website, the higher the trust is raised and the conversion rates and the result significantly increases. Then for e-commerce and for retail, you should always offer relevant and attractive prices. And it's really important to note that I both say relevant and attractive, because it's two different things. So let's say you're an insurance company in the consumer service, handing out iPhones is not necessarily a relevant. It's an attractive price, but it's not a relevant price, meaning a lot of people want to win the iPhone, but they're not necessarily in the market for insurance. On the other hand, if what insurance you want to promote is dog insurance or house insurances, maybe you should have a price related to a dog or to your house. Maybe you can win a lawnmower. So if you have a housing insurance you want to sell, well, then you should say, okay, you can actually win this robot lawnmower instead of an iPhone. That will make sure that the leads that you gather has a higher intent and matches with your ICP a bit more. So make sure when you think about prices that they are relevant and attractive for the audience, so you get the best quality leads that has the purchasing power to follow through on future campaigns. Next best thing is, of course, also to make pre-launch campaigns. What I mean by pre-launch campaigns is that you can do countdown-based activities. So even though Black Friday is 1 day or Black Week is 5 weeks, Christmas is happening 1st of December, you can make a countdown page where it's like, okay, sign up to get notified as one of the first who can get access to our games and prizes here. Don't forget, get a reminder 10 days, 14 days, 5 days before, and be sure to push that out in your various channels, basically to give the campaign a lot of love. You should also dedicate ads for your campaign. It's perfectly fine to have a pop-up or to have a category page, but I would say for seasonal activities, you would be better off to drive dedicated traffic to these kind of pages. Because if you have evergreen content, which is not a seasonal campaigns, then you actually have some kind of evergreen content that will stick and stay on your page. And that can be for optimizing user experiences, user journey, product selections, personality types and testing. But you don't necessarily need to have attractive or relevant prices for those, because those are more knowledge-based games. But that's a different conversation. Now we're focusing on Christmas. And last but least, make sure you integrate your data with your CRM. Of course, the value of a new lead or a purchase is good if it has a positive ROI, but you can get that back by actually making sure that you are collecting and integrating and then using the data afterwards for future campaigns, whether it be Black Friday converting into the Christmas campaign, or Christmas campaign going over to Q1, then to Easter, then to summer, and then basically building on top of your potential audience here. So basically, we have a small gift. I said I was in the gift mood. We have a free campaign setup. So you can buy a Skarbye license and a free campaign setup. So if you go to this page, we don't have a hyperlink, but then you can actually go to the Christmas. I can share that afterwards with an email, and you can get access to our landing page where you can learn a bit more and explore a bit more about our seasonal calendar activities. It's a campaign, so it means that if you want to do Christmas or want to do Black Friday or Black Month, you can do one of these. You can of course also get a license with us where you can make more seasonal activities, and we'd be happy to have a conversation with you about those kind of things. And without sort of further ado, please, any more questions? I'd be happy to answer these. Just give everyone sort of a few minutes to see if there's any good questions coming up. One question I often get is whether gamification marketing, is that only for e-commerce and retailers? What about B2B companies? And today's topic was what's the best practices to actually work with e-commerce and retailers? Whereas if it was a B2B based webinar, and we have a recording of a B2B focused webinar on Skarbye.io under Learn, where we're talking about the effects of having always on user journey content, which is also having a really good effect on SEO. So if you're trying to hit your target group that does a lot of research before engaging with your brand, this is really, really good to pre-capture them and start to nurture them and get to know them before a long, maybe 12, 24 months conversion process. So it's all about tactics, how you want to engage and how your setup is with that. It doesn't seem like there will be a lot more questions, so I'll say thank you. So, there's one here. Yes, we are getting a question whether we have customers who have succeeded in integrating a campaign that can only be shown after they log into the site. We have several different solutions to that. We can implement Skarbye in apps. We can do it in, I don't know if it's still called intrawebs, like these kind of internal systems that you can only access. And we also have it so that you need a personal passcode in order to log in to see. So yeah, that is possible. It's a customized feature. It's a customized setting where we need to have a little bit more information about you and how your things have set up. But yeah, that can easily be done. Thanks for the question. Basically, I think that we, in general, Skarbye is a SaaS company, meaning that we have a software, and we of course want to provide a service with that software. But I would say that we are 80% a SaaS tool. The last 20% is that we are also highly focused on developing custom opportunities, because we are plug and play, but there's also these kind of small questions. Then our company has this policy, or we need to do this or that, and we actually have the opportunity to tailor and customize a lot of stuff together with you as a customer. And our process is always that we scope the project, we deliver an estimate back in terms of timeline and price, and then we can sign off whether that's we will go ahead or not, and then we test, iterate, launch. So that's the way we work with that. All right, cheers. But yeah, just under 4 months to Christmas. So I hope I'll get to talk with some of you. I hope that was a good and eventful webinar for you. I hope you learned a lot of stuff and hopefully got some inspirations. I'm Nikolaj, CCO of Skarbye, and I thank you for joining the webinar. Have a great day. Ciao.